conversation around the removal of statements of advice continues in part two of this roundtable conversation, where you're going to hear from the founder of Bombora Advice, Wayne Handley, together with CALI Chief Executive Officer Christine Cupitt and Senior MetLife Australia Executives Nathan Rees and Jeffrey Scott.
Look, I would agree, endorse all the comments that have been made, and I agree with you, Trish. We've been driven to a land we didn't want to go to, but there's no option, unfortunately. I think Michelle's done us a huge favour. Now, your statement of advice isn't where the lawyers go. Your lawyers go to your file notes. The file notes is where the PI insurer goes. It's where the barrister goes. So it's our file notes will be the issue in the future, not the statement of advice. It always is, and it always has been. And this will just make it more prevalent and more obvious. So it's building the file notes in your case that's going to satisfy your PI insurer, not your statement of advice. Sarah and I have been in recent forums where we've looked at, we think that this is an opportunity for the industry to take a lead and for us to go to ASIC and tell them what we believe should be in a statement of advice. Now, it wouldn't take too many heads to learn and say, these are the 7 or 8 items that must be in a statement of advice. Mr. and Mrs. Licensee, you design it however you wish, but these are the essential items, and we take that document to ASIC. Now's a chance for the industry to show some leadership, get on the front foot. ASIC are never going to tell you what they want you to do, because they never have, never will. They'll tell you what they don't like when they see it, but I think we get on the front foot.
So after an era of being regulated too, you were envisaging a potential future where self-regulation is a possibility, a greater possibility.
Well, it's a reasonable assumption that once the government has gazetted that there is change or a change to law, it's reasonable in the commercial world for you to start acting in that environment. Okay, there's case study to support that. So I think this is a chance for the industry to do that.
Okay, thank you for that one. Yeah. Over to you, Chris, and then we'll go to Jeff and Nate.
Great conversation. The thing that I would add is that one of the key benefits of financial advice, one of the critical benefits of financial advice, is the peace of mind that it gives people. Peace of mind about funding their retirement, approaching retirement, making sure they've got appropriate cover if they're getting a mortgage or having another child. And if people don't get to grips with the advice that they're being provided, if they can't fully understand the documentation and the way it's explained to them, then they're not going to get the benefit of that peace of mind and that understanding. So from our perspective, it's about really ensuring that any disclosure framework, similarly the safe harbour and the way that it's stepped through and drives the advice process, all of those changes should culminate in something that can be more readily understood by the customer, and they can get not only the financial benefits, but the peace of mind benefits in having received and understood that advice.
All right, thank you very much, Chris. As we turn to Jeff and Nathan in any order you'd like.
Well, let's do it sequentially. Look, I come at these issues because of my background, just looking at it through the policy lens. And the big picture here is, you will all know the figures: 28,000 advisors in 2018, now down to 15,000 if you're in the risk only part of the business. It's down to 800 was the last figure I saw.
Yeah, 800.
Yeah, so that's happening over here at the same time as we've got hundreds of thousands of Australians about to retire, who have had compulsory super their whole working life. So this is not a comfortable set of arrangements, and I think government gets that. They understand that we need a bigger pool of advisors. I don't think there's one answer to this. I think there's multiple facets to it. Statement of advice is a part of it, but we're all of a generation where we grew up being told that the biggest financial decision we're going to make is most important is when we buy our first home. It ain't anymore. It's what you do at the point of retirement, and that's a real mindset adjustment for the Australian population, I think.
Right. Okay. So the removal of statements of advice is just part of the bigger
part of a much broader rubric.
Broader high level issue. Yeah, right, got that.
And when you can remove the statement of advice, it's not of itself going to increase the number of advisors. And when mum and dad are looking to plan their retirement, they need a good steer.
Understood. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to concur with Nathan. There's 5 million Australians that are about that over the next 20 years are going to be retiring. With 15,000 advisors, we don't have enough, and we need to make that entire process of getting the documentation, getting the advice in the right hands, right people, right time, so they can make those informed decisions vital. And insurance provides that safety net to allow them to make those decisions, but that documentation has to be there. Now, I agree with both Trish and Dan and Amy on this, is that we need to make sure that there's enough, and again, safe, and also with Wayne as well, is that we need to ensure that if a client disagrees with what they believe you've told them, that there's enough contemporaneous evidence there to back up what you've stated. And whatever form that is, and I agree with you, Sarah, whatever form that is, that shouldn't be prescribed. What it needs to be is sitting there. When I've talked to my friends over in Canada about this, I said to them, do you have to provide a statement of advice? And they said, what's that? And when I described it to them, they almost fainted. And they said, no, what we do is we have a client engagement letter. After the client engagement letter, we tell them how much they'll be charged with regards to what they're doing. And we have contemporaneous file notes for everything we do for the client. And then we give them a summary page to say, here's what we've done with your investments, with your insurance, with your pension plans. And the client knows that. And they have the regular update with the financial advisor every 6 to 12 months to make sure they go through that process. And it's basically reinforcing the trusted advisor situation. And with them, it wasn't about the level of documentation. It was about, did I go from point A to point B on the journey that my financial coach, my financial advisor, or my insurance agent or my investment advisor has told me that I was going to be going on? And if there's something has changed, have they kept me informed along the way? That's what this is all about. Mm-hmm. And if you have that trusted advisor, I don't see very many trusted advisors who get sued by their clients. Where that trust,
if they got good file notes.
Well, that's right. And I think that's the other thing, is that if those file notes are contemporaneous, if they're comprehensive, and if you share them openly with your clients, say, here's what I discovered, am I wrong? Clients aren't going to have a problem with that. And I think that's the thing, is that and Sarah, I agree with you, is that we've taken too much with regards to the form rather than substance. Get the substance right, and the form is going to look after itself.
Okay, so generally speaking, it's a good move to formally remove statements of advice. That's kind of the message from the room. Although there's a lot of work still to take place.
There's so much that's involved in bringing on a client, and the fact-finding process, the getting to know each other, the trusted piece, and educating them. I'm a bit, I use that all the time, but I'm saying that because that's really where we get that engagement and, as Chris stated, that peace of mind. So the compliance is still there. It's just the process might need to change, and I believe the process should change. There's been so much put in this document, and as I said, I've had people come to me with experience with other advisors, and they go, I just paid for this piece of document, and I'm like, not really. That's part of the advice. That's the document that's telling you what the advice is. But there was so much that was going on in the background you didn't see to get that piece of paper in front of you, and then to get you on board and to get you to that next level where you're having those review meetings. So I think removing that is actually going to be helpful. And something that I know Sarah spoke about at the roadshow is that when we've got so many people that need advice, by removing some of this heavy compliance and actually freeing up time for advice, some of this scaled advice can be so much more affordable. So there could be so many new business opportunities for advisors and licensees to sort of reframe the way advice is delivered. That's where I find the space exciting.